if you're under 2000 elo and you're stuck at your level, you are tired of memorizing those opening variations and you just want to have fun out of your chess games, I have the perfect solution. It's called the Philidor defense. You play it, start with the move d6, then you play knight f6, and finally you make the move e5 here, fighting for the center. This is the most solid opening I have ever seen under 2000 elo. It's so easy to play, you can start playing it today, and it has the highest win rate you can imagine, because your opponents have no idea how to play it. For example, my guy here, 1955, very strong one, he just plays d5 immediately, which is such a bad move. It's just a positional mistake. Now he doesn't pressure this pawn on e5. And I can just play bishop e7 and go ahead with my plan. I'm going to share with you exactly how to outplay your opponents here, and very important to understand the key ideas. It's not based on memorizing. It's based on the key ideas that you're going to implement here. They can play different stuff, but you don't care. I mean, this is just useless. It's not creating any threats. I'm just going to go ahead. No, I like castles. I like c6. All of those are key moves in this opening. And that's the beauty. You can never go wrong with it. I mean, if you play castles, fine, very, very good move. If you play c6, also very good. We put pressure on this immediately. That h4 pawn move doesn't help you whatsoever. Like, you don't even follow up with h5, but if you do play h5, I can just play h6. It's just a weakness there. All right, do we take it immediately? Or do we castle first? Let's castle. Why not? If they take, we are always happy to take it back with the pawn. Then we are ready to play d5. We are already overtaken the initiative here. Bishop e2 is a very passive move. By the way, one of the main ideas of the entire opening is to play bishop to c4, maybe after knight f3, and then put some pressure here. But once you play d5, that doesn't make any sense. The whole diagonal is blocked. All right, now it's time for us to go ahead and attack our opponent. We castled, our king is safe, his king is still in the center. He played this move, weird move h4. So let's go ahead and attack him in the center. The golden principle is your opponent attacks you on the side, answer in the center. Knight d5, of course, we can never tolerate it, just take it. Takes back with the pawn. I think we can immediately attack here. So to figure out your middle game plan, you should take a look at the position and consider your strengths. Like here, we have more pawns, we are stronger on this side of the board, as well as we have better development, and your opponent's weaknesses. He is stronger here, so that's not where we should play. We only make moves on this side of the board to stop some kind of his activity. At the same time, he did play this move h4, which is weird. It just wastes time. Now he cannot castle, for example. I'm going to just grab a pawn. This is super weird. And like the normal continuation would be something like f5, but I want to make sure he doesn't get here. Maybe I just play h6. Maybe that would waste time. Well, that does threaten to win a pawn, like to take on h4 without any fears or anything. I can also continue normally with knight to d7. This knight is beautiful on the c5 square, controlling so much on the board. Let's do that. That would be more instructive. You want to develop every single one of your pieces in the opening, and you want it to be as active as possible. Queen d3 is another absolutely stupid move. Instead of developing your pieces, yeah, queen is also a piece, but it just can be attacked immediately with the tempo. I literally just played knight to d7. And why is he not even thinking about his moves? This is so bad. Okay, now I can play either e4 immediately or bishop f6 first, but then at least he has bishop g5. So let me win time with every single move that I make. This is the best strategy you might have. Now if he goes here, I can even be greedy and take the pawn. Right, he does that. Or I can just play a5. Whenever you play knight c5, it's good to play a5 to make sure that b4 is not possible. But in this case, as he is wasting so much time, maybe I can even grab a pawn. Maybe it's his idea so that the rook can be opened and then attack my king somehow. I don't see it, but I should appreciate his threats as well. Yeah, let's again be more instructive. Let's just play a5, make sure this knight is solid, and yeah, he wants just to castle this way. Then let's take. He now blocked this. b4 is not a problem, so why can't I just grab a piece? Sorry, not a piece, that would be too good. Just grab a pawn on h4 here. As for this h7 pawn, I can just play h6, right? That should solve the problem. I wanted to just play bishop g5, exchange those dark squares bishops. Now that I have an advantage, I just need to be solid, make sure I'm not losing any important stuff here, and then I should be good to go. f4, I think it again just helps me. This pawn on e4 in the long run might have been a weakness, but now I can just exchange it. Maybe again he wants to open up more files here. Yes, that is why he takes like that to play rook g1. That might be scary if you are not careful with it. But I don't think he's in time. I have perfect pieces. I don't really have any weaknesses, so why on earth should it work for him? Don't be afraid of your opponent. Believe in your position. That is a check. Like one thing that I need to do here to just win is exchanging the queens. Without the queens, he can never give me a checkmate. But I'm just a little bit worried of this move knight b5. But that is not a problem as long as the bishop is there. So I can just play queen e3 before he plays that, so no discovered checks are possible. That would be quite a legitimate thing here. Bishop d7, rook g1, queen here, rook takes g7, sacrificing the rook, and then takes knight f5, double check from the queen, the knight, forking the king and the queen. That would be hilarious. But as I said, exchange the queens and then you're out of trouble. He has the only way to avoid the exchange with queen c4, but now he's not attacking that pawn, which is already an achievement for me. How can I proceed? I think just bishop d7 and rook c8 makes most of sense. Rook g1, rook g7, yes, the rook is active, but I don't see, it's all about concrete threats. As long as no concrete threats are there, I'm not afraid of it. I'm even threatening, yes, I'm threatening b5 right now. The queen has no moves to go, and if it cannot take because the bishop protects, but if knight takes, then this guy is hanging, and I'm just winning a piece. Yes, I think b5 is the best move here. Although a3 is very slow anyway, like rook c8 was good enough, but if you can play b5 immediately, and that would win you a piece, of course you do that. Yes, I do lose a few pawns. Maybe bishop b5 first was better. This way, I make sure that the queens are exchanged, though, which is also a cool achievement. Like this endgame, I don't really care about the pawns, right? I have a bishop for one pawn. Yeah, that is more than enough for me to win. But you still should be careful. If you're not careful, you might always spoil your position. I like the move rook b8. This is the only rook that is doing nothing, and I need to take advantage of that. This is a very active diagonal for me. The knight cannot attack me, and I am threatening something like knight a4 with the double threat of winning the pawn, as well as knight c3 forking. So you want all of your pieces to be as active as possible. You don't want any unemployment going on in your camp. He plays knight c4, which does deal with that threat. You can play king c1 or something. But it's also a move backwards, something I'm never afraid of. It does not create any threat, so I can play bishop f5. That brings a new piece into the attack, introduces a new threat against my opponent. If you can improve your position every single move, and at the same time create a threat every single time, this is the best strategy you have in chess to crush everyone. And every single time you go forward, you improve one of your pieces, and your opponent has to stay passive and just defend like that. He does not create any threat. It's already a huge achievement for you. Chances are you're going to find a new way to attack him. For example, here I have knight b3. I think it doesn't have anything against it. It attacks the rook. If the rook goes away, then again I take the c2 pawn. It doesn't go away, I just take the rook. You can never go backwards, be so passive, and then hope it's somehow gonna work for you. Especially if you're some material down. Your only chance is to go forward and don't look back. 96. Yeah, finally he's making some active moves. That is actually even not so simple, because if you're not careful enough and you just take here, he's gonna take the bishop, and then suddenly this knight is not possible to save. He's going to be only an exchange down for a pawn. Yeah, that is a different story, but I think I can just play bishop g6. That would make sure that the bishop is secure, the knight cannot create any threats, and against everything else, like this knight to e4, I can just take. I'm not sure if I need to take first. I don't see any threats it can create, so let me just take. In every case, I probably should do both of those things. That just simplifies the position. Once you have extra material, you want to exchange as much stuff as possible, and also win a pawn here. Why not? Now I have 3. You might have been afraid of this attack. Remember when he castled, rook h1, rook g1. But if there are no threats, it's not dangerous for you. And instead, you can counterattack in the center on the other side of the board, which we did here. Okay, how to neutralize it? I think I don't see threats again, so I'm gonna just push my passer. Yeah, at this point, it's time to put the rook here. And let's, I don't know, let's just push one pawn, should be enough. And just h3. Even if I'm not gonna be able to promote the pawn immediately, it's always like a distraction for my opponent. So in the end game, you want to create passers, and once you do have it, you want to push it forward. Why is it a distraction? Because now I can just play rook takes d7, and he cannot take me because I'm gonna promote a queen. And that's exactly what happens. My opponent does not want to resign here. Again, the more pieces you exchange, the simpler it gets for you. Now I just have one queen against nothing, and he still doesn't want to resign. This is very weird. Yeah, this is exactly how powerful this opening is. Let me prove that it's not luck. This opening actually works wonders under 2000 elo, especially. My opponent this time plays f4, but let's say I don't care at all. I just played the same thing no matter what. Of course, it's gonna influence how the game is gonna proceed, but I still have the same system that is super solid. There is an alternative. You can switch to the Sicilian, which I would personally like to do. That is a little bit more complicated. I want to keep it as simple as possible. Just play the same no matter what. d4. Now we do switch to one of the main lines. And here I like to take on d4 immediately. You basically always want to take on d4 when he cannot take back with the knight. Then we play knight c6 with the tempo attacking the queen. Normally they play bishop b5, trying to pin us, but we play bishop d7, renewing the threat. Now they can either step back or take it. In this case, this bishop on c6 would be great, and I'm a big fan of 2 bishops, so that would be absolutely amazing. I also like to put this bishop to g7 in this case, because it's going to be very strong against this queen. For example, after castles, I'm already threatening knight takes e4, and it's not simple for him to even save the pawn. I think at this point he realized the problem. He can play 5 right now, maybe that was the last chance, but I even have knight g4, like attacking this, attacking this. What are we gonna do? Yeah, castles, castles. Knight e4 is a devastating threat, basically winning the game. Of course, earlier that wasn't possible because the bishop was hanging. Now though, it's a legitimate threat, and like it's not even simple. If you go backwards, I still take it. The only square would be d3, but I can renew this threat again. He plays e5 instead. Now the question is, how do I react to it? I can either take the pawn or play knight g4 or maybe something else. Let me know in the comments what would be your solution. Very interactive moment. So you get this feeling of how this opening works while I'm trying to figure out the best move. To be honest, I like the move knight g4 because he basically cannot do anything at all. I'm threatening to take here, I'm threatening to take there, and this pawn is stopping him from doing absolutely anything. And also I don't allow this, like if I take immediately, he has this knight takes e5, maybe I do win a pawn, but this knight is very strong, I don't like it. So I think knight g4 is the best move. I mean, the only way to even save the bishop is to go to some ugly squares, which can never be bad for me, and then I can always take. If you want to play online but on a real chessboard, Chestnut makes it possible. I have this amazing Chestnut Evo for more than a year now, and it completely changed how I play and train chess. I have this real pieces feeling, but I play on chess.com or Lead Chess. I also have my books and studies here, everything in one place, no distractions. Chestnut has a variety of different boards, so you will definitely find exactly what you need, and you get a massive discount if you use the promo code journeytograndmaster on all Chestnut products. The link is in the description. I think, to say the least, I already win a pawn, because I'll always have a chance to like take on f3, take on a5, and I'm good to go. Okay, he plays h3 immediately. I think he wants to take advantage of the fact that I cannot take here, because he's gonna take the queen first and then he's gonna take there. So be careful with your opponent's threats. Don't assume that you are the smartest and you're gonna just take it and like in checkers he's gonna take back. No, think about the most active opportunities that your opponent has. Taking the queen is always more active than taking the pawn. But I can just take here and enjoy my two bishops advantage. I do have this spin now, suddenly, but like these bishops, they're so powerful. This is a dream. If I do that, then maybe his idea is to play knight d5. I like this move, queen to e8, although he can still play that, threatening here. Maybe I haven't underestimated it a little bit. I do have those powerful bishops, but at least he can survive for now. He's not losing a pawn. Maybe taking on e5 was simpler. Alright, but this position should be great for me. Maybe I just exchange everything. Queen e7, knight d5, I take it, rook takes it, pawn takes. If knight takes, I mean, the spin is very annoying, the bishop is great, so probably he's going to take with the pawn. But then this pawn is always going to be a weakness, it's isolated. Just a great position for me. I just don't like to exchange my bishops for knights, so I'm a little bit hesitant to do that, but actually I still am left with this beautiful, beautiful bishop. By the way, another idea can be knight d5, takes, queen to e6, and the rook cannot go anywhere because this pawn is hanging. That is why he plays something else. But now I can exchange, nevertheless. He takes with the knight, I think I can get away with taking there. Or maybe even just exchange everything and then taking there. Maybe I should have renewed the threads with rook e8, the pin. Also possible. It's just, in general, I focus on the strategic principles, which tell us that if you have a pair of bishops, you should open up the position. The more you open it up, the more powerful your bishops are. The only drawback I have in this position is that I'm a little bit behind in terms of my development. I haven't developed the rooks yet, while all of those rooks are very active. He's choosing between knight takes and pawn takes. I think I'm better regardless, but I feel like pawn takes would be even simpler for me. It doesn't even create any threats. I can simply like exchange a pair of rooks, and at the end of the day I will always be better. Although I notice one thing, there is a pawn potentially hanging on a7. Not sure how serious that is. Yeah, he does go for this. I can just start with rook e8. That would, for example, potentially create a threat of just winning a pawn. And if knight e5, then we are coming to the same line, which I think is good for me. Yes, let's go for it. In every case, I want you to develop as many of your pieces as possible and do it as fast as possible. I was a little bit slow here because my opponent has created some threats along the way, but now I achieved this perfect development, my beautiful bishops, and yeah, finally he plays that. I have to take, right? Otherwise knight f6 is coming. But how does he play after queen e6? I like queen e6. If anything, I would have some squares like here, so that my queen is not in the center, it's not under attack. And it's not that simple for him to figure it out. c6 is coming, a2 pawn is hanging over here. Maybe h6 at some point would be useful. Make sure this knight g5 move is not possible. You do need to be careful. I mean, it's chess. It's not like your opponent is gonna just collapse in a few moves. You need to appreciate his threats. He's playing as white, so he has an extra tempo on top of everything. But I really like this opening. Before that, I struggled so much because either I needed to memorize a lot of stuff or I just was getting into trouble. With this opening, it's incredibly solid, yet it's stupid simple. You can start playing it today. Yes, of course, I help you to understand the idea so much deeper, and I sincerely recommend you go through the entire playlist, you join the 10-day opening master, but you have such incredible results with it, yet it has, like, I don't know, tens, if not hundreds of times less material that you need to remember than in the Sicilian and the Caracan and the French, all the mainstream openings. By the way, the fact that it's not a mainstream openings is the best advantage for me because my opponent rarely sees it, rarely plays it, and so I have such a huge advantage in terms of understanding the positions because I play it every single time. c4. Yes, that kind of solves the problem over here, but what if I play it there and attack both of the pawns? Probably queen b3. It's his solution. Yeah, somehow I want to blow it up. I feel like his king is less active than mine. I mean, his king is less secure than mine. For example, what if I just play c6? If he does this, I just take it. So he has to play that. Or maybe knight g5 is possible. 5, but then this pawn is going to be very vulnerable, and bishop h6 is coming. Knight g5 is a very double-edged thing. I can theoretically even play bishop h6 immediately. But if he goes backwards, rook there, he cannot take again because the pawn is hanging. Yeah, I like this. I feel like I made progress. The only advantage my opponent has is pieces activity, so I need to stabilize that. But this c4 move makes his king significantly more vulnerable. That knight d4 I blundered, I have to admit. But I also don't think it's so good for him. I just step back. And how do you even defend this pawn on e5? Because your knight is no longer protecting it. Also, at some point, I can jump here, which is gonna win the queen, kind of. My king is really much more secure than his is. Yeah, that was his plan, not to lose the pawn. But I don't think it's sustainable. This rook feels very weird. What if I just play queen b4, threatening this and this? How do you even defend it? Do you play queen c3, but it's like ugly? I honestly have so many different ideas. I also like the move rook to d8, and I feel like it's the most instructive one. I'm threatening so much stuff. For example, queen h4 threatening this and bishop h6 at the same time. I really like this move. The importance of pieces development is everything in chess. Even if you have some material less, you can compensate it if all of your pieces are strong and active. These two files are the best for the rooks. His rook was here on d1 back in the time, and it was actually better than it is now on a5. Maybe queen h4 is not such a strong threat as I thought it is, because he can play knight f3 and attack the queen, and then bishop h6, I'm not in time. But at least like the c4 pawn will be hanging with the check. Queen h4 is definitely not messing around. Also, queen b4 might come at some point. Rook takes a7. I mean, those pawns, they're always gifted. Something like queen c5 should be good enough. Just destroy him. Although maybe not completely. You can play something like that. Then I have this tricky move bishop h6. He takes here, but I take his rook. You might say that queen b4 was simpler because it's very direct. If he has to play queen c3, then I just take it and he has those horrible pawns, and the endgame is just better for me. But I don't know, I felt that his king is weaker, so I want to continue playing with queens, create problems for him, put as much pressure as I potentially can, and that is the best chance to win the game. Yeah, he goes backwards with a knight, which is probably the right thing to do, but that means he has lost a lot of time to move his knight from s3 to f3, and also in the meantime I have developed my pieces. I control this open file. This queen b4 is again pretty annoying. I think if he has to play queen c3, it's just a much better version for me than before. But what else can he play? Maybe queen c5, but becoming really dangerous. Maybe for now he still secures. Ah, no. Queen to b4, queen c5. I have bishop f8. I'm threatening to take his queen, and if he takes mine, then I play bishop takes b4, forking both of those rooks. That's amazing. Okay, and if he takes on a7, obviously that pawn is much less significant than this one, and I continue attacking his stuff. I like the move queen to b4. I think now that I have developed all of my stuff, I'm ready for it. But queen c5 is kind of a trap. Let's see if he's gonna go for it. Otherwise, he has to play queen c3, but isolated double pawns is like the worst pawn formation you might have in chess. It's still not that easy to break him. I mean, so far I cannot like immediately attack him. But you don't need to like calculate everything till the end. You just need to improve your position step by step, create some challenges for your opponent along the way, and your chance will come, believe me. The Philidor defense is, of course, the great first step on this journey to achieve that goal. Rook a7, okay. I think I just take it. Do I have any alternatives? Don't think so. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have even allowed that. Maybe I should have played a6, just saying this rook is stupid, what are you gonna do with it? Maybe that was better. I thought, yeah, just taking this pawn is better. All of my pieces are active, and that's true. But I'm a little bit worried that I'm gonna allow my opponents to make his rook active as well. And earlier on a5, it was completely stupid. I have to be careful with that. I can achieve that by just playing rook e7. So now this pawn is protected. The rook still hopefully remains passive. And I want to potentially double the rooks over here, which would help me to create some threats against the king. I'm not sure if maybe rook d7 was better. Hard to say. Knight d2, well, that's a move backwards. That's never a problem for me. Queen d5 feels good. First of all, I can again exchange the queens. And the endgame should always be better for me, but I don't want to. I like queen d5. That threatens this, threatens this, threatens this. Way too powerful. I think he again has to go backwards. The question is, how do I make progress though? Maybe it was indeed better to play rook g7 so that now I have bishop f8. I feel like my bishop is my most passive piece. Maybe I change that. Maybe I play rook d to e8 and just pick up this pawn, because then I'm gonna break through in the center. And it's very difficult to deal with it. Like, what do you even play? I think you should try to exchange the queens with something like queen b3. And this is, by the way, not such a dumb thing to do. I do believe that even in the rook endgame in the end, I should have very good chances. My rook is more active, and probably I should just win a pawn. Also, my pawn structure would be better. He's going to have double pawns, whereas I'm going to have two connected passers, or maybe three. Okay, he does that instead. That I like less for him, because that leaves all of that available for me. And bishop e5 is immediately possible. That also feels pretty slow, to be honest. Like rook b7, I have queen d3 check, bishop takes b2, rook e1. That feels winning. Okay, he goes for it. Yeah, queen d3 check. The moment where you have stabilized everything, you have activated every single one of your pieces, it's as active as possible. It's time for you to look for the most active opportunities and just direct ways to win the game. And I think that is bishop takes b2. We are going to take there everything with the check, so our opponent doesn't have any chances to stop that. Yeah, this is the only thing without the check that slows it down a little bit. But yeah, that still should be powerful enough. For example, rook e2, I think, wins the game. It's a check, and he has to go backwards, and then I take with the check. Because if I take, well, he has a tempo, he might give a few checks, who knows. But if you do everything with a check, then you don't have to fear. Knight c2 is not helping him. Yeah, basically it's just checkmate on the spot. Very nice game. I hope you really enjoyed it. It shows the power of this opening regardless of what your opponent does. In this playlist, you can learn so much more about it. Every variation your opponent might play against you. And don't forget, amazing opportunity, 10-day opening mastery, 50% off, and a full month of live coaching with me for free. The link is in the description.